When do the property intend to comply with the court's order?
We're working hard to comply with the order, and if we have another week and talk about this next Friday, we'll be in good shape.
One of the units on this list we have tagged as being unsafe, unlivable.
It's me and I have 5 children.
No, you're not just offering. She's gonna be in a hotel with those 2 children tonight. She better be housed someplace else tonight.
That building, if you want to see some of the pictures, it's quite horrific. The flies are just everywhere.
My mother's staying in that building. Her apartment is 204, and she had a red sticker since January.
We asked her to be relocated, and Mr. Beal's response was that she should move in with her son.
In another condemned apartment.
Oh my God. I'm not gonna have the higher ups tell me that somebody in the office did something that they shouldn't have been doing. The buck is gonna stop as close to the top as I can get.
Today, Judge Simpson had a hearing with plaintiff Arbor Woods, a very large mobile home park in Ypsilanti, Michigan. There are 8 defendants who are all in the same boat because they're withholding rent for things like sewage backing up, no heat in the middle of the coldest Michigan winter since the last ice age, and the like. Judge Simpson isn't having it today, and he hears testimony that visibly disgusts him from some of those tenants. It definitely struck a nerve, because the judge takes Arbor Woods to task and promises them they will lose if they keep playing games. Let's roll, Law Nerds.
West, but in Arbor 1 West versus Rico McGuire et al.
Ellis Friedman for the plaintiff here.
Lou Maskell for defendant.
All right. I think when we ended, there's an indication in terms of what was provided with the court wasn't quite true. I was then sent the, I guess, service inspection report from Griffin. And I thought the young lady I thought she was here.
Your Honor, she was present, but then she had class.
Got it. Okay. Because I had one question for her, because first of all, the inspection report, let me just pull that up on my screen. For her unit, that's not, I mean, it's a misnomer to say that that was complete, because it's not complete. I'm not even sure, based upon what she had told us, that there was an inspection of her unit to even get the indication that the unit's sanitary, because she said nobody was there. So
I don't know what Griffin did, but I know they sent Mr. Beal a bill for inspecting it, and I guess I don't think that it's unfair for Mr. Beal to assume that if he got a bill for an inspection, the inspection was done.
But the problem is, I appreciate that, but the problem to say that there's the next column over where there is nothing in there regarding in progress, but her unit hasn't been exterminated. There's been no chemicals or anything applied to her unit according to this.
What I heard her to say, and I don't know if she's conversant, but she seemed to be. What I heard her to say was that there was an inspection that said that she had German roaches and it needed to be bombed. And I assume that she heard that from somebody other than her neighbor.
Right. And here's what I guess I'm getting at. Wherever that came from, but it seems to me that then in the in progress column on this sheet, there should be something there. This makes it look like it's done, but it's not done. And I'm unclear why there were a number of different units on this, but it doesn't tell me, let's say that it does have to be bombed, but it doesn't tell me when that's gonna happen. Or if it's gonna happen. Nothing on here tells me that it's gonna happen, even. I'm also concerned what was reported from the inspector from Ypsi that there are indications that certain work that would require permits is done, but the permits hadn't been pulled.
I think it depends on which properties and which units, because Your Honor, some of the work some drywall work needs to be inspected, I understand. If there was something behind the drywall that was causing the problem, you have to make sure that what was behind the drywall causing the problem was fixed before you can get the drywall permit closed. But then there's also drywall work that's more or less just cosmetic, where somebody's banged into a wall or something and the people fix it. So I don't believe that Mr. Myers would say any drywall work, if a door punches a hole in the drywall, requires a building permit to be patched and fixed. And so go ahead.
Actually, I also have my building official here to discuss some of these things. If I may,
Yes,
can I have Mr. Dunham come up as well?
absolutely. Just make sure to place your names on the record.
Yeah. I'm Joe Myers. I'm the Community Services Director, and I have Jerry Dunham, the Building Department Manager and Licensed Building Inspector, Official and Builder. And so the reason why we wish we would have gotten this list earlier is we could have went through some of the things they are actively pulling permits for in other units, just not in these units. And when they're saying things are done, when we haven't even had an inspection, it's hard for us to know that. And so while there are some small drywall fixes, the vast majority of the ceiling and drywall and disrepair, especially due to the pictures Mr. Beal has sent us directly on the mold growing behind, we would want to actually ensure that any drywall repair is done correctly to the code. And so Mr. Dunham can actually speak to that, but that's where, because we just got this list today, we want to go out and inspect. And so our plan is hopefully to do that on Monday if the proper notice is given to the tenants. But once again, we don't even have all of the properties that are before you right now on this list that we received today.
Right. And sir, what did you want to tell me, if anything?
Well, we were talking about the drywall repair stuff. We have told the property that any drywall repair in a fire assembly, which would be ceilings in apartment buildings, or areas where we have noted that there was mold or moisture, all those do require a building permit, because that is liability with fire separation. You have to have it fixed correctly. Can't just, sometimes a little hole, you cannot just patch that little hole. You have to cut it a certain size because it's part of a fire rated assembly. That's how it's tested. So a couple of these on the green for different properties do not have, let's say, ceiling drywall repair, don't have a building permit at this time for that project.
So I guess Mr. Freeman and Mr. Beal, when do the property intend to comply with the court's order? I mean, if complying with the court's order means that I first have to get to the city of Ypsilanti and get an inspection before I do it, at least I would begin to see that progress. I'll be absolutely honest, I'm flabbergasted and a bit disappointed that this is the list that I have, and that this is all that's been done in effectively almost 2.5 weeks.
Your Honor, I think that it's important to note that I understand the court's frustration period. But it is important to note that it's been represented that there's been 2 building permits pulled on these on these subject properties, but there's been 40 building permits pulled total. There's a lot of work that's being done at these properties, at these buildings, that is in addition to the work that's being done on these cases where there's about, I think there's about 20 in front of you with respect to these repair issues. So it's not as if Beal's team is completely ignoring this problem or this project. They're doing a lot of work out there, and they may be spread too thin, but that doesn't mean that they're not trying to get the job done.
Yes. To be clear, the 2 permits being pulled are for the units before the court right now. I do have 38 permits that have been pulled on the property. So there are many permits being pulled for other units, predominantly 721 Clark and 720 Green are the vast majority of the permits being pulled. So I do agree that permits are being pulled for that entire complex. But what I'm telling you, as far as the permits being pulled for the units before you right now, 2 have been pulled, no inspections have happened.
So this is Stuart Beal. I spent the past 2 hours on the call with the team, and we determined that 6 additional building permits need to be pulled related to this list. And we have entered those in the BSNA system and paid for them. The city has issued 1 of them in the past 2 hours. And so the city, probably Monday will process the next 5. And we pulled the project manager over here and went through all the units again. And, we're working hard to comply with the order. And if we have another week and talk about this next Friday, we'll be in good shape.
Well, yes, sir.
I also do want to bring up that this afternoon, one of the units on this list, we have tagged as being unsafe, unlivable because of the condition of that unit. Also in that same building, it's not on the list, but we also condemn that unit as being unsafe because of the conditions we saw this afternoon out there. And
Is somebody living in that unit?
Yes,
With 4 kids.
it'd be,
Edwina
Harris,
the one that spoke up about her sewage and.
so we checked the sewage issue out there, and
so
because of that, we had to tag it unsafe.
She is. So.
Yeah.
So Ms. Hang on one moment. So her unit's been tagged as
Unsafe.
Oh, dear God. Ms. Harris,
Yes, sir.
so how many people are in your unit?
It's me and I have 5 children. My youngest 2 are with my sister right now because of what's going on. And then right now, currently, it's me and my 2 oldest.
So we're gonna offer.
No, you're not just offering. She's gonna be in a hotel with those 2 children tonight. I don't care what you've got to do. She is not staying in that unit if it's tagged. So you can offer what you want. She better be housed someplace else tonight. So Ms. Harris, you pack up the things that you need. Somebody's
Okay.
going to be over there. You guys are going to have different living accommodations tonight until this court says otherwise.
Okay.
We're not going to have this. Okay. So was there anything else?
We're actually, so on that building, we have given the property owner 2 hours to actually start to do some of the work, because when we were in there, the conditions, Mr. Dunham saw the vast majority of them. I was just in Miss Edwina Harris's apartment, but that building, if you want to see some of the pictures, it's quite horrific.
Which building is that one?
815 Green.
And are there other residents in 815?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and there was one other unit when I was there, I tagged on the spot unsafe.
Another unit, but that's not one that's before me.
Yeah, it doesn't appear, I don't believe it's before you, it'd be unit 102. So you walk in that building, it just smells of just smells terrible because a unit's completely filled of trash that's vacant, that's unsecured, that squatters have been living in. The other unit next to it, which is below unit, which would be unit 103, which would be on the same sewer stack as 303. That unit, it has sewage leak or water leak. Everything else, carpet was completely soaked in the unit. So they'd have to get someone out there to start cleaning up the water, tearing off the carpet, tearing off any drywall that's molding, the sewer leaks. I mean, it was pretty bad. I got pictures of it if you wanted to
Ms.
see.
Harris, we not forget her last name, but in her unit, I would say it's one of the better units that we have actually inspected as far as cleanliness on the tenant's part. But there was so many flies and she had a lot of fly strips based on the standing water in the unit. The flies are just everywhere. We were seeing them buzzing around. And like I said, normally we understand that sometimes tenants are a problem. This unit was, in my opinion, very well maintained. Just there was nowhere for the sewage to go and it was backed up.
Oh my God.
And then as far as her heat, she presented us the work order of them saying her furnace is broken and she might have a furnace by Monday. So, and I gave that to legal aid as well.
Your Honor, I'd like to note that her sewage issue is listed in the order, but it's not listed on the sheet that.
No, I know. Because she was here and told us about it. That it got placed into that order. The way that it.
But the repair list on the sheet provided this morning doesn't reflect everything in the order.
Yes, I know. When you made me aware of that during the initial hearing, I mean, I assumed that the 21 or 22 would be on that list. But to be honest with you, I wasn't necessarily focused on that, having just gotten it. I was more focused on what they were saying was done to those particular units. And then during this period in time when I had enough of a break or a little bit, I discovered that some of them aren't on the list. So I have no idea, if anything, what's being done with those particular units.
We identified 4 units in the order that are not on the list.
Got it. All right. Take care. Thank you, Amy. All right. So what? Was there something else? That's Mr. McGuire. Mr. McGuire, what do you want to say?
My mother's staying in that building. Her apartment is 204, and she had a red sticker since January.
So she's in green. What apartment? She's A15 green.
Yes.
Your Honor, we
Yes,
emailed Mr.
Yeah, we've asked.
We asked her to be relocated, and Mr. Beal's response was that she should move in with her son.
In another condemned apartment.
Okay. But she is not one of the cases that's before me, correct?
I believe that we will probably be filing a lockout action for
For, pardon?
lockout actions.
To bring it, gotcha, okay. And that may be, quite frankly, part of the way of doing it. I would note a couple of things. And I think it was certainly anticipated a circuit court action may have been filed. I am going to be in communication with certain,
It was filed.
and so that to see if they will reassign it to me as a circuit court judge. I've been through this complex through the last thing, and now I'm involved in this thing, and so I'm gonna work on that hopefully the first part of next week. I've got calls in at this point. I guess the best thing that I could say, because some of these places aren't under my jurisdiction at this time. They may be either by virtue of the circuit court action or by virtue of cases that may be filed by legal services. I try to be as clear and as plain as I can. And so Arbor One West, Mr. Beal, you saw what I just ordered as it regards Miss Harris. If there are others that are similarly situated, I think that's what you ought to anticipate this court is going to order, and that you best just do it. And I can't make it any clearer than that. I realize those cases are under my jurisdiction, so I can't specifically order it, but they're going to get here somehow or another, because this is. You guys don't have the right to have people live like this. You just don't.
All right, so let's recap just a little bit here. The guy on the lower left, Stuart Beal, he's the slumlord. He's the owner or principal or manager, somebody who controls the purse strings of Arbor Woods. The judge just ordered that Arbor Woods pay for a hotel room for the lady on the upper right of your screen, because her unit was just condemned today for being completely uninhabitable. Judge Simpson just put Mr. Beal on notice that he's going to be on the hook for hotel rooms for all these folks until the problems are fixed. But you ain't seen nothing yet.
And I understand Your Honor, I understand your position thoroughly. And I'm not saying I disagree with anything you said today.
Okay, good.
But I do believe that that Mr. Beal sincerely believes that he's trying to be part of the solution, not the problem, and that he has crews out there. They are working. They are trying to be responsive, and I don't believe that he's.
All I know is that as I look at all of these folks when they're in my courtroom, these are human beings that are having to live in a circumstance. Miss Harris, when she was standing before me, she tells me what the problem is, and maybe I didn't ask the right questions. And for that, Miss Harris, I apologize. But that she's got it's her and her 4 babies are living in a place of just sewage and flies all around. And so if you're going to fix it, okay, fix it. But you just can't have these human beings, these people, real people, just living in this garbage. You just can't. None of that is okay. Are there any of the other ones that are on my order that are stickered?
Can I say something really quick?
Hold on, Miss Harris. Yes, Miss Harris, go ahead.
I'm on my way to work, but who do I get in contact with for tonight? Like, who am I supposed to call? Do I have to?
Mr. Beal, who's she gonna call?
Can you give me your phone number, please?
All right.
313.
Ma'am,
Oh,
put it, no, I don't want it broadcast everywhere
okay.
in God's
Okay.
creation.
I'm sorry.
If you can type it into the chat, well, I don't have anybody here with me. Can you do it? You got Zoom? You got the controls? Okay. If you type it, put it in the chat, then we'll give it to Mr. Friedman, who can get it to Mr. Beal. That's because I don't want your
Thank
business
you
all
so
out.
much.
Pardon?
Okay, thank you. And is it okay if I leave?
Yeah, yes, Miss Harris, it's all right. Yes, go ahead. You gotta go to work, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What happened?
While Mr. Myers
Yes,
wanted to raise an issue regarding plaintiff's continued efforts to collect rent from the tenants. Or many of the tenants today that we spoke to told us that they're constantly being asked to pay.
There was
Directly to plaintiff.
Yeah, there was one notice actually that was given to Mr. Myers where it was, I think it was an email or a written document that specifically said, you know, you owe us rent, please pay either via ACH or cash or credit card, which is contrary to the court's order as well. There's several notices that have been floating around. Another one says you owe us a lot of money and we want to do an occupancy check. And I think this is an effort to determine whether our units are vacant. And Your Honor pointed out that people may not have abandoned their unit but relocate. So I'm a little concerned that they're going to treat it as abandoned when that's not actually the case. And then the third notice that we've seen a copy of is a housekeeping notice where they're going to do a housekeeping inspection. And I was a little perplexed by the effort behind that. I just wanted to make the court aware of it. We, just one last note, we did offer some proposed language based on our meeting on Tuesday. Mr. Friedman suggested that we put together some language and we did forward some language to council if they want to use it about rent and escrow.
And the hits just keep coming for Arbor Woods. You know, I haven't heard one positive thing in this hearing yet.
I'm gonna ask legal services to draft an order for the court regarding this escrow, so we can just get this all clear. Escrow on these cases, it's to be paid to the court and or the Ypsilanti building. Well, I want the ones before me are to be paid to the court. Additionally, I'll just put an end to this right now. All rent collected by the landlord on any of the subject properties before this court, they are to provide to the court an escrow check for that rent prorated from January 10th forward of all funds that they've received on any of these, and they are to be paid to the court. And they need to do that by February 25th, Tuesday, February 25th, close of business. And it's to be paid, if you can place in the order, it's to be paid by certified funds.
Your Honor, was that for any of the units on the properties or just the court cases?
Just the court properties. Those are the only ones theoretically I have jurisdiction over at this point. And so in my intent on that is, okay, you can go out there and play games with the language you're using, but anything that's going to be paid over to them, it needs to be paid to the court. And I dare you not to do it.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Okay.
So Judge, none of the 21 people that have given you, that have actually noted, there are one or two, and I have to, it's a little bit harder to kind of sort it out. There are one or two that have been condemned that are before you that just did not put their name on that order list.
Got it.
So I can email that to your
Yes,
clerk?
if you can send that to send it directly to Ann.
Okay.
Because I'll be.
Yeah, so I will get you that, but I do know there are one or two of the 20, now we're at 25 red tag units. In the building, like I said, we could have 24 units red tagged as of today when Jerry leaves here. Because if the work is not begun on 815 Green, the whole building will be red tagged.
Okay. All right. I get it.
So there could be, anyone on 815 might be red tagged effective tonight.
All right. And if you could let us know, if
Yeah.
you could also place that in any communication to Ann,
Yeah.
so that I know.
I'll let you know.
All right. I think that deals with the concerns that have been raised about rent. So they can fashion whatever language, but my intent is that money is going to get you. Not going to be there. So they should use some language that is correct to the tenants and not mislead them as to where it should be paid. But if they don't want to do that, then they'll have to pay it here. And if I find out that rent was paid by a tenant to them and not deposited with the court, we're going to have real problems. Was there anything, any other issues that you were raising?
Now, did you really want to ask that question?
Well, no, I don't, but I'm almost compelled to at this point, if they're.
Well, Your Honor, I did speak to a tenant earlier and I did promise her to address to the court concern. She vacated in January because she had no heat. And she would like to know how she can get her escrow funds back. And this is,
It's what she paid and then she vacated because the heat didn't get fixed. And so she's now someplace else.
She's been out of her unit for over a month. And she would like her money.
Did she turn in her keys?
I'm not sure.
I don't know whether she has to or not, because
Well,
that could be a constructive eviction.
we just don't know who's in and who's not. That's part of the problem. We've got 6 vacancies that are on.
No, I get that, Mr. Freeman. I guess my problem is that the ones that they're concerned about these empty units, but don't seem to be as concerned about the units that have actual people in. So that's why I'm not, yeah, if they're vacant, they're vacant. If you on her behalf or somebody if she can file a motion before the court, because I'd like to make sure it's addressed orderly regarding how that happens. Yes.
Yes, and this is Denise Blue Ellen. She is in the 723 Green Unit 218.
All right.
Make notes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, here's the other thing, so that we can draw some of this to a close. So we have the escrow order. You're gonna draft that. There may be other cases coming by way of lockout or whatever. And so I understand all of that. Let me just say this, I am exceedingly troubled by what I view as absolute lack of progress. I don't know that I care about anybody's intentions. I, at this point, may have to just care about what the results are. In terms of it. So in that respect, because we were here, they knew that these repairs needed to be done. I issued an order February 4th. I don't see the progress that I'd like to see. I'm not saying that everything needed to be done, but I don't see the progress that I'd like to see. It seems that circumstances for some tenants are getting worse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a hearing as to why the management, and I guess that's Mr. Beal, as well as Arbor One and Arbor One West, should not be held in civil contempt for failure to comply with the court's order. I have prepared, Mr. Friedman, you, I believe, can accept service on behalf of all of those parties. We have all copies. They're being filed in every one of the cases that are before me. and somebody's gonna have to show cause why this stuff isn't done to the court's satisfaction. I hate to go that route. But I'm not gonna have, I don't have a choice, what I'm hearing today. I just, I don't see any other option, because I don't think people, some are not listening to what the court is trying to tell them. So if I have to bring a heavy hammer, I'm just gonna bring a heavy hammer. I was hoping we didn't have to go that route, but that's what I have to do. That's what we have to do. So we have copies for you of all. There are actually 40 copies of that order to show cause, and they've all been signed off and all set for March 11th. At 10, I do believe, so I can get some other things cleared out of the docket. All right.
Very well, Your Honor.
Anything else? In my order, I laid out that they were to direct tenancies if they were here before the court to pay it to court escrow or to the Ypsilanti building department, because they don't have COCs. So I'm just going to put it this way. Mr. Friedman, I know that you will direct your clients to do the proper thing. If they want to play with me,
They don't.
let them play.
They don't.
Because they don't want to play the game. They do not want to do that.
No, I agree.
I am not, and just to be clear, I am not going to have the higher ups tell me that somebody in the office did something that they shouldn't have been doing. The buck is going to stop as close to the top as I can get.
I hear you, Your Honor. The only one thing I did want to say, kind of in response to the lady's issue, and maybe I misheard her, but she said she reported no heat, and they said they were going to come out and inspect. I mean, that's okay, isn't it?
Well, it might. I don't think the two were connected. I think there was the report of no heat. Then there's the issue of her not paying and then wanting to inspect. I think, as I understood what she was telling me, those two things were connected, which was the same thing that Ms. Masco was indicating.
Yes, Your Honor, if I may, it seems like whenever the tenants bring up a repair problem, the first thing plaintiff wants to know is when they're going to pay their balance. They want proof of the payments in escrow, which they can just call the court and find out, honestly, or ask their counsel. To verify.
Oh, I don't think they really want to know that. I think, what'd you say? Yeah, so I didn't use the word, but she did. I know what they're doing. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I was wondering, because I know the court has asked us at the last hearing on Tuesday to inspect all of the units that are before the court. And you had said that a 24-hour notice. I was wondering if the plaintiff can give that notice over the weekend, so on Monday, myself and Mr. Dunham can go out and actually inspect all of these units.
Can that happen?
Sure.
All right. Say right now. Yes, ma'am.
Well, honestly, we already have noticed about, because we have 5 checks happening on Monday for 3 different issues. We have a housekeeping check that they do.
Housekeeping?
We have an occupancy check that they're doing on Monday as well. All these things are happening on Monday.
Oh, hold it. What do you mean?
Housekeeping that were provided to legal aid counsel. Those are emails about what is happening on Monday. One of them I have both of them right here. On Monday, the 24th, between 8 and 5 p.m. Jessica from Beal Properties will enter your unit for a housekeeping inspection. You do not have to be home. You can be if you like. The other one is an occupancy check, which is, hi, resident. I hope everything is well with you. We noticed your balance is quite high. Are you living on the property? If not, please return your keys. Either way, on Monday, 2/24/25, we're going to check occupancy of your unit between 9 and 3. So everybody's going to be there on Monday.
Yeah, everybody.
Mr. Masco, please put something together for the court so that
When we spoke with tenants earlier today, we were put on notice about these different things that have gone out to them that really have nothing to do with repairs or actually
Mr.
inspection.
Friedman, I know you, you've been before me, I don't know how many years. As best you can, you better get to your clients. You need to tell them just to stop it. They're playing a game. And if they think they're the ones gonna get burned, they're wrong. Anything else? All right. That will conclude the hearings. Mr. Friedman, we have your copies of your show causes. We can get you copies, or at least read. They're all the same in essence, but at least you can see what it is. Thank you. All right, court is standing. Oh, Mr. Hicks, he's Mr. Carlos Hicks, you were raising your hand, sir?
Yes, I got a question. Can you hear me, Judge?
Pardon?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So look, my balance, I got a program trying to help me with my balance and stuff like that, but they don't know what.
Sir, you're going in and out on me.
I said I got a program that's gonna try to help me with my balance, but they don't know what to do yet. So what do I tell them?
They have a what?
They gonna help me. Sorry, my phone is breaking up, but I have a program that's gonna help me with my balance, but they just don't know what to do next because the system.
Oh, in terms of paying the rent?
Yes.
Okay, they need to get themselves, they need to fill out an SER with the Department of Health and Human Services and then call Hawk.
Oh.
Okay, that the numbers and all of that stuff came in your paperwork.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And one other question. What they gonna do about my black mold?
Sir, I wish I had the answer to that.
But they just never fixed the mold.
I'm working toward getting to that. I can't answer that yet. Okay.
All right. I'll let you take your time.
All right. Thank you. That'll conclude this hearing. 14A stands adjourned.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy watching this content, please like and subscribe. It helps new channels like this one gain exposure. There is a lot more good court to come, so if you like what you saw, tell your friends. If you didn't, tell me and let me know what you'd like to see and how I can improve. Thanks.